All right, good morning, everyone. Today is March 17th, 2022. Happy St. Patrick's Day for those that enjoy brisket and green things. We do have an agenda today, so I think we're going to put off our updates until the end. Hopefully we'll have enough time. We don't have a huge crew today, so hopefully we should have enough time to do that. But we've had a few changes, and I think it would be a good day to discuss what SCARP's going to be doing going forward and what things should look like as far as our I guess board of director roles would be the phrase to call them. And so I wanted to make a few proposals along those lines and then see what the collective thinks about goals going forward. I don't want to make any major decisions today. We don't have a full crew of our standard folks here. So basically where we stand is, as far as I'm aware, and I had intended to reach out sooner than this morning to Jason Gain, but unfortunately my calendar's been a little full. So I did send him a message this morning, but I haven't heard back yet, and that's my fault, not his. But my assumption is that Jason's going to be stepping back from SCARP as he has changed his professional roles in ties to the community organizations that he was with. So my assumption is that he's stepping back from SCARP, but again, you know, I'm making an assumption there. But he is currently in the role of our president. Our vice president role, last I knew, was, and I'm totally blanking all of a sudden, but the person that used to work for Day One many years ago and hasn't been with Day One in quite some time. So Rob, does that sound right to you? That was who our last VP was?
Yeah, I think her name was Joanne.
Joanne, yes. So we don't have a VP at this point. Russ McMahon, my coworker here at DOC, is our treasurer. He has a conflicting community collaborative meeting during our meeting time currently. So that's our treasurer, and then I'm the secretary. So basically what I wanted to suggest that we do is basically come up with a plan to make nominations for positions for next month, and then we can have an election the following month. And with minutes going out and the video of this meeting going up on YouTube, that could serve as notification to the folks that are not available to be here today, and give everybody, especially our regulars, the opportunity to participate in the process. Does that sound good to folks?
Sure.
Okay. The other thing, just to let you know, I did ask Russ to touch base with the bank since he is our treasurer, to see where things stand with that. And I will say that our funds are secure because we haven't touched it in so long. They wouldn't release any information to him over the phone. So we're going to have to go in person with our minutes showing our current leadership so that they can share that information with us. But they did confirm that there have been no recent transactions in a very, very long while. So whatever we had in there last time is still there and secure.
Julie, as I think what would be helpful as well is, have there been any changes? I mean, I got done when Jason took over. I had been in the role for like 17 years. And at that time we had a 501c3 status, and it was stuff that just, with my other responsibilities, I just couldn't do it any longer. Right. Do we still have a 501c3? Are we doing
that? Was one of the things that I messaged Jason about this morning. I remember that when Jason took over from you, Jason did get our 501c3 up and running again, because it had expired, but we were still eligible for it. We basically, I think, just had to like pay the money and submit the paperwork. So I did ask Jason about that, and if there's any official most recent copy of our bylaws. But according to the bank, they just need a most recent minutes, so I can do our minutes from this meeting stating our current roles and a plan for our election nominations and elections going forward. So yeah, that's going to be something that needs to be added to the agenda once we have folks in new roles, so that we can get that back up and running, provided that's what we want. Because I think we do have to talk about, what are the goals of the association. In the past, we've done events, we've done sponsorships, we've, launched other committees out of our organization. So it's been a very productive, effective organization. And obviously through COVID, we've kind of narrowed that back to just being, let's stay in touch and keep everyone updated on what everyone's doing, which I think is a perfectly good use for our organization as well. So we just kind of have to figure out what do we want things to look like over the course of the next year or so. I don't think we have to, jump right into like, we have to have an event planned for next month or anything along those lines. I think it's a good thing to kind of start setting goals again. Hopefully the world will comply with us and we'll be able to do some things and go from there. So let's see. So why don't we, first of all, I'm going to throw this out to the group. And I know we don't have I wish we had a couple more of our regulars here. But is anyone, before we just randomly nominate people, is anyone particularly interested in any particular roles? I know Russ has conflicts. Oh, Lisa, what do you got going on?
I would be interested in the vice president role. I don't think I want the full responsibility. I mean, I've been involved for about, 10, I don't know how many years now myself. But I wouldn't mind picking up the VP role.
Okay.
I would be real brave and do the P role if nobody else did, but
I hear you. Absolutely.
I need guidance, that's all. But
yeah, absolutely. Any other positions? I am more than happy to pass the baton. I have been in the secretary role for, I don't know, 6-ish years. And it's not I will say it's not a very difficult role. It's a little bit of time and organization, but it's not anything that breaks anyone's back. But I would be more than happy to pass the baton on that, because I think it's important to have different people in different roles, and new blood is always a good idea. So if anybody is interested in that, that would be great. Obviously, we do need someone interested in president and somebody interested in treasurer. I do know from my experience, the last time we did the changeover when Russ and I stepped onto the board, I know the president and the treasurer are the people that are on the bank account, despite the fact that the bank kind of like voided that. But kudos to the bank for being secure.
Maybe Rob, do you have an idea at this point, whoever president is, and maybe this would help Lisa make up her mind exactly at this point. I mean, it isn't like we have a lot of grants going on and all that stuff anymore, but can you kind of give an idea of what the president's responsibilities are at this point?
I mean, SCARP, as many of you have known, has really lots of changes as to what the group wants. Is it a networking group? Are we actually applying for funds? So some of the money that was in there is money that came from some really old grants. We don't tend to do fundraising. We don't have costs associated with like mailing. I mean, back in the day, we mailed out minutes, so we needed postage and all of that stuff. Everything's pretty much electronic now. But with that 501c3, we need to adhere to the bylaws. There's supposed to be annual elections. We have to file taxes. So there is some of that administrative oversight, and that's what got too much for me with my other responsibilities. And that's where I was like, I need somebody else to take this over. So day to day, though, it's, putting together the meeting agendas, facilitating the meetings. But I mean, Julie, as the secretary, I feel like has been doing that. So
yeah, the facilitation of the meeting is something that I think can flow very easily from frankly, anyone in the organization could facilitate a meeting. As far as the bylaws go, obviously we need to get a copy of them. And I'm fingers crossed, I think Jason does have them, and I'm gonna dig through my computer to see if I have them as well. But it's probably, if we are kind of reshaping things, now is probably a time to revise our bylaws, because things need to be updated, because we're not mailing stuff out and everything is electronic, and we're mostly meeting on Zoom and things like that. So it now would be a good time to do an update to our bylaws, which, based on my experience with other committees and Robert's rules and stuff, is basically just a matter of, rewriting, making a motion to propose the new version, put it out to the next meeting, vote on it, and then you've got your accepted new bylaws. So
I know one of the things that was in there, Julie, and it seems like now, I mean, it's a unique situation just because of circumstances, but I know we only replaced 2 officers at a time. So elections happened every year, but it was only for 2 positions. So that there wasn't a complete turnover, so that there would be people with some historical knowledge in those positions. So I think it was like, president, treasurer, and vice president, secretary. So we tried to match it up that way, or vice versa, something like that.
Yeah. And the catch-22 of our current situation is, in theory, we only have 2 current people in our roles, and we've definitely expired our term. So we would be filling vacancies, and then we would only be replacing 2 people. So I think we would technically be falling within bylaws with like a total reset. And I'm not looking to step away from the group at all. So, and like yourself and Dana, you guys are here, we have our history. So I think if we did end up with a complete rewash of our board of directors, I don't think we would be in dire straits. But I would say for a president's role, which would probably collaborate with a vice president just to make the workload reasonable, it would be the status of the 501c3, and then updating the bylaws. And that's something that we could also do as a community. We can set a meeting and go line by line through our bylaws and say, what do we want here? So that it doesn't have to fall to the personal time of the president and vice president on their own to do. So that might be a good use of a meeting. So we can, maybe we make the goal for, frankly, the remainder of 2022, because if we're doing nominations next month, elections the month after that, if we start working on the bylaws the month after that, make the motion the month after that, we've used up 2022. So we can call 2022 the year of the refresh, and then set goals and missions for starting 2023. I think that would be a good use, because I think, as far as the 501c3, are we going to continue on in the direction where we have funds and we're going, are we going to be grant seeking? Are we going to be, working towards supporting different community events? Because if we're not, we can make some, I assume, charitable support of our current organizations that we can support and liquidate our funds. And then do we need to continue our 501c3 status, or can we just be a community collaborative?
And some of that came out of necessity decades ago. Like, you couldn't get a grant unless you were a collaborative.
Right.
So that's when we went after the 501c3. And we actually, while we didn't have staff, we contracted, because we never created an employee manual. So we didn't have those mechanisms in place, but we contracted with somebody to do our books, and they did our taxes for us, and they were paid for out of those grants. And when all of those stopped, that's when things changed.
But also we used to collect dues kind of
Yes,
on a
that's
voluntary
right, we
basis.
did.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know if that's still in the bylaws or whatever. I mean, I think selfishly, number one, Julie and I talked a little bit about this, and I think in my mind, what I'd like to see is some of the younger members step up, and the older ones that we can mentor or whatever. And it's time for new leaders to kind of take their place in the sun, so to speak. And while the rest of us are trying to quietly go off in our little corner of supposed retirement. Yeah.
So is that why
Anyway.
you said Lisa will change your mind, Dana?
What's that?
Is that why you said I would change my mind if I had more info?
Well,
Because I
mean,
would
the
change
thing-
my mind, actually. I mean,
I-
I'm willing
I-
to participate, so
Yeah,
I'm
no,
good
and
with
I
it.
think it needs to be a nice mixture of, across the age kind of thing, but not up to, 72. I think I've expired pretty much. But, I would like to see, yeah, I don't know how Rob feels about this. But there was a time when this coalition was strong because of the interpersonal connections that we had. And a lot of that came about when we would go up to the Forks for the 2 days. And as a group of almost all the agencies that serve Somerset County, we decided what we really wanted for the county for that year and set that agenda. And that's how some of those grants that we applied for, I would hate to see us give up that 501 because you don't know what's coming down. And it was a place where people would come and say, look, our agency is looking to apply for this. Is anybody else looking to do it? Can we collaborate or whatever? I mean, only once, and I'm sure Rob remembers this, did we have to kind of mediate between two agencies that were gonna, duke it out over, but then it all worked out, they made their agreement. So, I'm not one to live in the past, but I think we had some good things. And out of that came the DV task force. And for a while, the underage drinking, activities, and many other good things in this county that's still vastly underserved. So I would, I think that's something we need to take a look at. And by spending 2 days together and losing my poker money, probably to half the, half the people there, we got to know each other as people and not just as roles that we played in an agency. And that to me made all the difference in the world. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. Part of me, I work on a lot of different conferences that we do multi-day conference events, and part of me really enjoys them, but the amount of money and the amount of work that goes into them, I don't know if we have that here at current, to be frank. I don't know if I have the time to go do, me personally, to go to the Forks or wherever, even if we did it here in town somewhere, to take 2 days, it's a lot. But I think, that might be a good utilization if we can get back into the Welcome Center at Hinckley, that we could maybe set like a half-day event or something, a full morning or a full afternoon, or even a full day of a local, collaborative meeting. If we wanted to do something like that, we could, once we can access our bank account again, we could we could cater a meal or something like that, and hopefully bring together, our original core members as well as new members and set agendas and things like that. I don't think that's a terrible idea, provided, meeting is safe and secure the month we choose to do it. But that's kind of my thought on a multi-day event, is just, it's a lot of expense and it's a lot of time out of our personal lives. And, we also have to take into account some organizations may or may not be supportive of staff doing something like that, the way organizations used to be very supportive of it.
And we started seeing that shift, honestly. So when the retreats stopped happening, it was partly driven by agencies weren't as supportive. We were seeing much more push on productivity. Agencies weren't paying dues any longer to belong to SCARP. There was a time where we paid to go. So it was, if you wanted to go, you paid $50 and that covered your cost of your meals or whatnot. But then at the end, we stopped doing that. And we did look at some half-day retreats, but it was more like strategic planning for the next year is what it was.
We got to remember too about the Centenary Church is because Jen has opened that up to community organizations and coalitions and groups as well. And it's a great place to be, you know what I mean, to go in and utilize their space. So that's always an option too, if needed. And I'm sure she would be, just reaching out to her, she'd be good with that.
Yeah, I think the church has, and rightfully so, has an expectation of like a donation or something for the use of space for larger meetings and things like that. But that's not out of the realm of what we could do.
Right.
And I think one of the reasons we were meeting at Hinckley, besides the fact that they were kind enough to donate the space, was because so many agencies serving Somerset are actually headquartered out of Augusta and Waterville. So you have people coming up from the south, and it was kind of almost the happy meet, we weren't going to meet in Waterville, but we were, that's as close as that kind of midpoint for folks.
The most southern point of Somerset County. Hi, Lori. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I know we kind of flipped up our agenda. Were you hoping to still present today?
Sure. I didn't realize I was presenting, but
No,
I am always happy to present. So sure.
So what we can actually do, just as far as keeping our time, I think we've got a plan. So if everyone can consider who they want to nominate, we can make our nominations for the roles of president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary at the next meeting, which would be April. And then we'll have a vote in May. And then from there, we can start addressing bylaws and things along those lines. So I think that's a good plan going forward there. So if we want to do our quick round robin and all of our agencies can give updates, does that work for everyone? I see nods. We're in good shape. Who wants to get us started? Oh, someone's coming on speaker there. And then they went off. Who's on the phone?
This is Ben Tucker from U.S. Senator Angus King's office.
Oh, hi. Thank you for joining us. Okay, I just wasn't sure who you were. I wanted to say two things and then I'll mute myself. And I may, please,
because I'm driving in rural Western Maine. The call might be dropped any moment. But I wanted to say that Dana's suggestion that you have a 501c3, that if you give it up, it gets increasingly more difficult to get that back than it used to be. So that's something to consider. And the other thing is, I've worked with Dana, who I have the greatest respect for 9 years, and she's been retiring for 9 years. So I realized, Dana, that you are retired. This is what your retirement looks like.
very true. I don't think truer words have ever been spoken.
Thanks, Ben.
Oh, and it looks like we might have lost him. So he had perfect timing there.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah. Well, while I'm here, I'll just say there's not a whole lot of updates over here. We do have a P.O. box now for an address. It's if anybody wants it, I don't know that it matters, but it's Post Office Box 173. It's in Skowhegan. We're at 28 Research Drive. And other than that, we're still doing fuel assistance and, emergency housing or rental and all those kinds of things. And Scalpendus is coming up in April, and we got the baby shower coming up and all those kinds of things. So,
Dana,
but I think
Dana, what agency do you work for?
KB Cap, sorry.
I figured, I wasn't sure though.
Yeah. Sorry, Resource. Yeah, everybody else I think pretty much knows me, but yeah, Dana Hamilton, Resource Navigator for KB Cap, supposedly retiring in another 9 years. Yeah. And then I'll pass it on to Lisa.
Hi, Lisa Meacham, substance use prevention specialist with Kennebec Behavioral Health. I just completed a tabling event yesterday at the Common Unity Cup. Common Unity Place, the cup at the Centenary Church, promoting Be a Hero. We did something really interactive with the patrons that are coming in there and having them post things that they've been doing with children in their lives to be a hero and help reduce the risk of substance use disorders. Rob and I are planning and coordinating a person group with the high school. I have 3 classes as well. I have a tabling event that I will be promoting the detainer bags and lock boxes here for our clientele at Kennebec Behavioral Health next week as well. I am also transitioning out of my position here at KBH as a substance use prevention specialist. I've accepted a director of social services position through a long-term care facility here in Somerset County. So I will be in this position currently until April 1st. And then I will be transitioning over as the director of social services. So it's a bittersweet. I have definitely learned a lot, thought I was pretty smart and realized I only know this much. So I have appreciated all of your help and in allowing me to be in the prevention field. So I believe that is my updates. I will pass it on to Brittany. Good morning, Brittany.
Good morning. Thanks, Lisa. For those who don't know, I'm the community health educator over at Reddington Fairview. I don't have a lot of updates. We scheduled a last minute safe sitter class 2 days ago for April break for students. It's going to be held on Tuesday, April 19th. We trialed doing an in-person safe sitter class at the Skowhegan Community Center during February break, and it went great. We had a lot of interest. So we kind of got confirmation what we already thought was that the community really missed the safe sitter classes, that students in those ages really look forward to that. So we're going to be offering another one. It is free, lunch is provided. It's targeted for students in grades 6 to 8. So if anyone knows kids in that age range that are looking to babysit or just want to stay home alone, this course is great for that, and it's free, which is a plus. May 11th, we're going to be having an advanced directives workshop. It's going to be over Zoom from 5:30 to 7. One of our per diem social workers here is going to be teaching the class, and she actually goes through the advanced directive documents so people can follow along and make their own advanced directive during the workshop and have time to ask questions. And we have to have one of those every year, but it's always a great turnout every year, and that's free as well. And then we're also partnering with the Pathways to Recovery grant over at Somerset Public Health to do a substance use disorder and opioid use disorder class for loved ones, people who have loved ones with SUD or OUD, just to learn more about it, what it is, how they can support their loved one, and then what kind of things they can do for self-care and what resources they can access. That is on May 18th from 5 to 6. It is free, it's on Zoom, and for all these classes and stuff, people can just contact me, and I'll put my phone number and email in the chat, but feel free to let people know if you know anyone that's interested. And I will pass it on to Rhonda.
Rhonda, you're on mute. There.
Hi, thank you. I just spoke with Amy. There's nothing new to report here. We're just we're hanging on over here, and both the chamber and hospice. So yeah, anything new? There's nothing new as of this moment. Yeah, so we'll just wait and see. So thank you.
Excellent. Do you want to pass it on to somebody else?
Yeah, anybody, let's see. I'm not sure who's already. Lisa, perhaps.
Lisa already, I think, already
She did,
had an
okay.
update. Maybe
Jen did too.
Jennifer.
Jen, thank you.
Good morning. Jennifer Allen from Family Violence Project. I'm the newest community educator. Michelle is on vacation. And I don't have much for updates either. Just a reminder, we have our helpline. I'm sure most of you are aware of that. And other than that, We are getting ready to hopefully do hybrid, so in person and Zoom meetings again, not quite yet, but hopefully as things keep moving in the direction they're moving with COVID, we'll be doing that soon. So thank you, and I will pass it to Rob.
Hi, everyone. Rob Rogers, Kennebec Behavioral Health. I'm the Director of Substance Use Prevention and Grant Services, and also the Respect Me program, which is a certified domestic violence intervention program for females. Respect Me, we're still currently operating 2 remote classes. We've not made the decision to go back to in-person yet. ROAR, which is the Recovery, Opioid, and Addiction Resources group, which is primarily made up of, or at least that's the goal, primarily made up of people in recovery, affected others, and recovery allies. They are meeting, I believe, next Friday is their next meeting. If you have an interest in that, feel free to get in touch with me and I can give you the meeting information because they are also meeting remotely at this point. There is, I heard yesterday, it's likely to pass. There is a bill in legislature. So I asked people to do what you want with this information. But there is a bill that will allow for the sale of cannabis products at local fairs, even if the town has opted not in to retail sales. So just in thinking about availability, what's that mean to minors? Just know that that is something that's in the works, and from what we were told yesterday, is likely going to pass the legislature. So then it comes up to having those discussions with the people that run your local fairs, because they do have to allow for it, but they don't need the town approval for it, is my understanding. So just be aware of that. And I can't remember if Lisa said it or not, but along with the doTERRA pouches, we were able to secure another 150 of them. So we're going to be able to put the doTERRA pouches, which is a drug disposal system for at home, in every single diaper bag that we give out at the baby shower in June. So, yeah. So, Sean, how about you go next?
Happy to. Thanks, Rob. So I'm Sean Landry with Somerset Public Health. Today I have my virtual Zoom background, as I typically do. So I'm also Shawnee Castle from, Dirty Dancing, and there's the ball.
Yeah, we want to see those dance moves, Sean.
Ooh, okay, the pachanga. Right, yeah. No, the best I can do is this kind of like robot wave thing. That's about it. Especially on Zoom. Come on now, right? All right, so as I like to do, I'm going to share my, can I share my screen? Is that something we can do? I'm getting the 1 second. Okay, very nice. But yeah, so I'll share the update that I usually send out for the month as far as kind of, all the kind of
Try
stuff
now.
that's
Do you
going
have
on
it
through
now?
Somerset Public Health. I will give it a shot. The option is there. Yay, thank you very much. All right. So I actually get to work under basically almost every grant a little bit through Somerset Public Health. So usually like to do updates on all the different programs. So I'm going to scroll down through, start with the tobacco folks. In that grant, we're doing a policy push right now where we do have $250 mini grants available for organizations or businesses that would like to adopt a tobacco-free policy. And there's going to be a radio spot that goes through Maine. You should start hearing that actually in a couple of days. We've got a couple of folks who passed policies who are talking a little bit about the benefits. One of them being Daryl White from Lake George, and he's going to talk a little bit on his spot about like doing some kind of like positive counter messaging to some of the stuff you're seeing, especially in Hollywood's glamorization of still tobacco and vaping. And it's kind of amazing how much you're still seeing that kind of stuff in our media. So yeah, it's nice to have some counter messaging. Again, so if there are folks who know that their organization or someone they're aware of would like to do some policy work, those grants are available. So just reach out to Deb Casey or Jess Carter or myself. I can get you all contacted there. And again, we do have a deadline of May 10th to reach out for those funds. We're also promoting our tobacco-free baseball team. So you can make yourself a little tobacco-free baseball team card. If you want to follow this link down here. And all you gotta do is pop your picture into the card itself, put your name in here. So we have ourselves as Miss Jess, Mr. Sean, and Mrs. C for Deb Casey, who she actually saw us as Miss Jess, Mr. Sean, and she got jealous and she wanted to be Mrs. C, like from Happy Days. So we went ahead and put her in that way. But just a fun thing to promote because most Major League Baseball stadiums are tobacco free as well. And why shouldn't most of Somerset County, if not all of Somerset County, be able to have those policies as well? So it's a fun little thing you can do. Share that on our social if you want to, or at least tag us. Vaping prevention presentations also are something that we can provide through the tobacco grant. You can see right here a quick quote. Jess and myself actually provided a presentation, and we got a nice quote about it was nice for us to open up those conversations for kids in a safe place for them. So we're just folks from an organization coming in. They don't really know us from anybody else, but we were able to provide that safe space for them even in that time, which was really nice. There's also a program called Sidekicks. This is really to help kiddos have conversations, sometimes difficult ones, with each other around things like substance use, vaping, tobacco use, or even any other kind of like risky behavior. But it's really more about communication than anything else. It's the big picture topic with Sidekicks. But that's a training that's available through Somerset Public Health for organizations as well. And so it's kind of train the trainer for facilitators. So there's that. Virtual store tours are still happening. Our March dates are the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Those are at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I still have our February graphic here, as you can see, all Valentine's related. But I'm going to launch St. Patrick's Day, kind of more specific one, or March one, in the next couple of days to help promote those upcoming dates. But you can enroll here for any of those dates on that form. Alana's Recipe Corner is something that we kind of launch every month as well, early in the month. So different recipes, and this month's was hummus. Well, February's was hummus, and you can see the updated ones as you check out our social. And then more education opportunities through SNAP are right there. Pathways to Recovery, we're still doing the free Narcan trainings, so folks can get free Narcan, get the training, and see our very own Betsy Richards save Manny the mannequin in the video. If you've not seen it, it's worth the price of admission for sure. And so there's a link right here to be able to register for those. So if you're interested in Narcan, you can get it free that way and get the training at the same time. And it's online, so nicely virtual, easy for folks to get to. The Pathways to Recovery also has consortium work groups under different topics. So there's an access to care group, data and billing, training, or communications. I would recommend you to join the communications group. I get to lead that one. And if you want information about any of them, it's reach out to Linda McKenzie. But to me specifically for communications, here's an example of something the communications group did was a how to have a trauma-informed event tip sheet. And I'm going to give credit where credit is due to our very own Lisa Meacham, also on this call, for doing the design work around this tip sheet. She's going to shake her head and say, no, but she did. She did all the work on that, which was excellent. So thank you for that. And you can access that right here. There's a link for that. So I'll share this PDF as well, so folks will have these links. Substance use prevention, we're doing our March Gladness bracket challenge right now. So there's different matchups of alternate activities that people can do, healthy alternatives to substance use. You can't fill out a bracket anymore at this point because the challenges are happening. Matchups are on our social media every weekday. We're up to, where are we? The listening to music or painting is the one that's on our current social media. We've already done the matchup on the left side. So check them out and vote for your favorite to make sure that it wins the whole deal. And St. Patrick's Day, of course, messaging around alcohol for our social media as well, in collaboration with folks at HCCA and Healthy SV. So we're all sharing those on our social. So that's the wrap up from Somerset Public Health. So thanks. And let's see, we'll pass this on to, I've got Lynn on my screen. Would you like to go, Lynn?
Sure, thank you. Hi, I'm Lynn Kidd. I'm with the Catholic Charities Maine, the RSVP search program. And I am the project manager, and Cindy Whitney was prior. Her last day is today. So we put volunteers in the homes of homebound seniors that are 60 and older. And then we're also working with a variety of age groups to volunteer, but also those that are 55 and older. But we do also have younger people. And so we just help seniors that are homebound, help find volunteers that can help them with grocery shopping, trips to the doctors, or companionship. So if you know anyone in need of that, but we're also looking for a part-time program coordinator for the Somerset area. I'm covering Kennebec County and Somerset. So if you know anyone who's interested in working with seniors, then you can head them my way. Thank you.
And I think Lori, I think you would be next.
I think Brittany hasn't spoken. Go ahead, Brittany, I'll wait.
No, I've already gone.
Okay. So you want me to update or you want me to present or both?
For today, I would say just a quick update because we're running short on time.
Yeah. So I'm Laurie Glidden. I work in Maine Housing. I'm the Family Self-Sufficiency Coordinator. Family Self-Sufficiency Program is actually called Restart here at Maine Housing. It's an employment and savings program. We help anyone with a voucher who wants to get coaching with employment and savings to become self-sufficient. As far as Maine Housing goes, the updates I can share is we still have funds in the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. You can find information on that at our website, mainehousing.org. It's typically right on the front page when you go in there. I do want to update people on something. I don't know if you're familiar, but it really has nothing to do with Maine Housing. It's just one of the partners that I work with, that it's a great program, and I just thought you might like to know about it. Not so much a program, but funds available. The Maine Community College System currently has $60 million available. They have all kinds of free training going on. They're at a point now where they can actually, a person can take courses, get a degree for almost free. So really, it's a great, it's just a great opportunity for anyone that we're working with. Their website is at mccs.edu. And it's all right there. It's through the Harold Alphon Community Center. It's a fund. They have an entire system of funding that is geared towards many different populations, those incumbent workers, people that are just getting into the system, people that are challenged by the system, people that need training. They have a one pot of money is devoted to people who are starting with the adult education system, and it's kind of a track to get to the point of getting a degree. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that information with you. And I have my email address in the chat. Just real quick about Restart. It's a family self-sufficiency program. It's an opportunity to become self-sufficient. And there's also an escrow savings that is involved. Anytime earnings affects the rent and the rent increases, we match the rental increase. And participants are able to, when they graduate successfully from the program, to use that money for whatever they'd like. I recently graduated. I had 8 graduates last year, and in total they earned $42,000 amongst all of them. One of them got a check for $18,000. So it's a great program. I'm happy to talk to any of you about the details, and I'm happy to present. And I apologize. I did not realize I was presenting today. I got hung up in another meeting, so I'm really sorry.
Don't even apologize. We did a total throw for a loop today with our agenda compared to how we had been doing things.
Okay.
No worries at all.
Okay. Thank you.
So thank you. And I think that's everyone, right? Did we miss anyone? So at this point, I would say if everyone can come prepared next month with any nominations they would like to make. I would encourage people to talk to the person that you want to nominate to make sure that's something that they are actually interested in doing. Worst case scenario, we'll throw people under the bus into positions. But we don't want to do that. We want everyone in positions they want to be in. Hopefully we'll have a good turnout next month with a lot more of our regulars. I'll make sure some notifications go out through our MailChimp. I'm going to put minutes together for today's meeting to make sure that Russ can access those details of our bank account. And we can move forward with our next steps. So thanks everyone. And I hope you
Julie,
have, oh, go ahead.
In case people weren't reading the chat though. So Brittany, if you're looking to step down, Brittany did offer to be the secretary and Lisa did offer to do the president position.
I didn't see that out, Brittany. Brittany, thank you for that interest. You can consider yourself highly likely to be nominated next month. All right, great. And I have Lisa already. Thank you guys and have a great day.